Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Christine requests that Cody write his own book in which he tells his side of the story. Sister Wife, a memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom was just published by Sister Wives actress Christine Brown. She disclosed in multiple interviews that she documented her emotions in her book. In the memoir, she enumerated every noteworthy event from her early years to the present. She feels happy that she was able to tell her tale to the world. She expressed her want to read other people's viewpoints in the same video. Christine explained that the book is written from her point of view and reflects her perception of the world. She thinks individuals might as well write out their own emotions if they have an issue with it, and she would love to read them. There are no brownie points for figuring out that she did, in fact, mention her ex-husband, Cody Brown. Christine also shared Robin's thoughts on the tell-all memoir and how she responded to her book. Christine's response to Cody's second marriage. Following her split from Cody Brown, Christine Woolley no longer supports polygamy. She acknowledged that she was taken aback when she saw him mention getting a new wife in the most recent Sister Wives teaser. She asked if Cody and Robin brought it up for the cameras on the Sarah Fraser show. But since they have a soulmate situation, she hoped not. Cody once embraced monogamy and should not risk ruining it, Christine said. She also chastised him for keeping Mary, Janelle, and herself in the dark about his actual feelings for Robin. Christine Brown, one of the Sister Wives, wants Cody to write his own book. Christine told all of her Sister Wives and co-stars about incidents in her book Tell All. She even included her least favorite Sister Wives, Robin and Mary, as well as her greatest friend, Janelle Brown. She also brought up situations involving Cody, of course. Speaking on the Sarah Fraser show, Christine said she saw this as a chance to share her experience with the world. She acknowledged, nevertheless, that she didn't tell the whole tale. She admitted that some of it was embarrassing. She was certain that other women would identify with her tale, and she felt that sharing her version was crucial. Christine also acknowledged that she doesn't know if Robin or Cody have read her book. She maintained that they would never speak to her directly, even if they did. She thinks the only way she would know if he was upset would be through rumors. Christine also underlined that her experience and viewpoint are reflected in this book. She thinks Cody has the freedom to write his own book if he doesn't agree with that. She would adore reading his thoughts and comprehending his viewpoint. She also said that Sister Wives fans would make Cody's book a huge success if he writes it. People are curious because they want to know how and why his mind functions in that manner. She also asked him to write his own book if he was capable of doing so. In the season 20 teaser, Christine also thought back on his apology to her. The diva went on to say that viewers will realize that he never offered a genuine apology after seeing the episode. In her book, Christine provides subtle details about Cody's preference for Robin. Christine Brown, star of Sister Wives, has moved on from her polygamous marriage to Cody Brown. She doesn't hesitate to discuss her experiences with fans, though. Sister Wife, the memoir of faith, family, and finding freedom is the TLC star's first book. Fans couldn't wait to read Christine's most recent work. In her last book, she talked extensively about her polygamous marriage. As a result, readers eagerly anticipated learning more about her experience with the Brown family in her book. The dynamics were completely altered when the reality TV star revealed every nuanced aspect of Cody and Robin's relationship. Christine described how things evolved over time and how Cody gave his trophy wife more importance than the original spouses. She revealed a number of startling yet unexpected information that caused her to distance herself from Cody Brown. What did she divulge? What were the fans' reactions? In response to Cody's search for a new wife, Christine. Season 20 will probably include Cody Brown's search for a new wife. He mentioned all the women who were interested in being part of his family in the most recent teasers. The Sister Wives star told Robin, his lone surviving wife, the news. The latter was not really pleased with the news, though. Her lack of enthusiasm for returning to polygamy was noted by her admirers. As a result, during her interview on the Sarah Fraser show, Christine also responded to the conversation. Because she believes that Cody and Robin are soulmates, she was unable to process the news. "I hope not, because what they have is a soulmate situation," the TLC performer stated. "They actually do. However, it is not all." Christine believed that by returning to polygamy, her ex would ruin something that was truly good. In her book, Sister Wives, Christine discusses Cody's partiality. Christine Brown constantly criticizes Robin and Cody. Her polygamous relationship has completely faded from her mind. The TLC personality enjoys telling her audience about her experiences. Christine just released her book and included a lot of information about her life as a sister wife. Because of this, a fan read the book and pointed out every little detail she revealed on Cody's partiality for Robin. The Sister Wives star said how, prior to Robin Brown's arrival, her ex-boyfriend adored Mary's turkey. But Robin quickly snatched Mary's moment and prepared turkey for her husband. Christine also discussed her ex's insistence on wearing clothes, even when wearing a wetsuit, but the fact that he and Robin did not follow this rule while on their honeymoon. She was as fixated with makeup as the latter. The reality TV star disclosed that while other women prepared meals, looked after the kids, and handled other responsibilities, Cody's favorite wife was constantly prepared for the camera. Christine urged Tim Gibbons to carefully capture her sister wife, explaining that she wanted to look like a kind person on tape. Supporters took note of her marital difficulties and the emotional toll Cody took on his original wife. "I love when she said I'm not your wife after she left," one fan said. Another user was shocked to learn that Robin had urged the teen to conceal her identity in order to gain favor. A lot of followers also brought up the fact that Cody left Christine for his 11-day trip with Robin following the birth of Truly. The tension surrounding the court-ordered sale of the $1.5 million property, often referred to as Judgment Day by those directly entangled in the matter, reveals more than just a financial transaction. It is a sprawling drama of power, betrayal, debts, and the raw reality of who truly comes out on top when the legal system slices through emotional bonds and broken promises, because whenever a family asset, business property, or inheritance-sized fortune is forced into liquidation by judicial decree, it is never just about the dollars and cents, but about the uneven distribution of power, the cracks in fragile relationships, and the humbling fact that no matter how much one planned, schemed, or hoped, when the gavel comes down in a courtroom, only a handful walk away with a payout while others are left clutching memories, resentment, or worse, absolutely nothing. And in the case of this $1.5 million Judgment Day, the complexities were layered like a tragic novel, as creditors lined up with their claims, lawyers sharpened their pens like swords, and former allies turned into adversaries, all while the property itself, a parcel that once symbolized unity, promise, and perhaps even a collective dream, became little more than a bargaining chip for debt settlement, asset division, and legal leverage, which is why the first and most obvious beneficiaries of the sale were not the original visionaries who dreamed of building futures on the land, but rather the institutions and individuals who had legal liens, backdated payments, or pending judgments attached to the property, because once a court intervenes, its first duty is to clear what is legally owed, which meant that banks holding mortgage liens were prioritized, siphoning off a large portion of the sale before anyone else even saw a penny. Then came the tax authorities, because governments do not wait in line, they demand their dues, whether it be unpaid property taxes, capital gains obligations, or penalties accumulated over years of delay. So while the common narrative is that the heirs or stakeholders of a forced sale split the profit, the brutal truth is that by the time the system takes its cut, there is often very little left to actually divide, and here, when the dust settled, it was the lawyers who gleefully collected their hefty fees for years of litigation, mediation attempts, and endless filings, ensuring that no matter the outcome, they emerged whole and well paid, while those who had the most to lose emotionally, the family members, former business partners, or co-owners, were the ones staring at the shrinking pie, forced to reckon with not just the loss of property but the permanent rupture of trust. And in this Judgment Day saga, one could almost map the distribution of funds like a tragic flowchart, first the mortgage lender satisfied, then the state taking its share, then the attorneys extracting their portion, then perhaps a few creditors who managed to prove enforceable claims, leaving the supposed beneficiaries, those whose names once adorned the deeds or who had invested sweat equity into the land, scrambling to collect what scraps remained, and in some cases, being left with absolutely nothing, which is the cruelest twist of all, because the ones who entered this journey hoping for a financial windfall instead walked away bankrupt in spirit and in pocket, watching as outsiders and institutions consumed what they once believed was their security blanket, and this raises a chilling question for anyone observing from afar. In a court-ordered sale of this magnitude, does anyone truly win, or is the entire process simply a redistribution of wealth from emotionally invested parties to cold, calculating creditors and lawyers? Because for those who spent years nurturing the land or believing in its future value, the Judgment Day felt less like justice and more like an execution, with the gavel acting as the sword, severing all ties to the property and delivering its carcass to the highest bidder, whose payment went directly into the hands of people who had never set foot on the land or shed a tear over its loss. And if we peel back the layers further, the $1.5 million figure itself becomes misleading, because while it sounds substantial, after deductions, liens, legal costs, and bureaucratic slicing, the net remaining balance might have been closer to a fraction, leaving the headline number as a cruel reminder of what could have been but never was, which explains why survivors of such ordeals often describe themselves as feeling robbed twice, once by the circumstances that led to the forced sale, and again by the machinery of the court that devoured the proceeds, and in this specific situation, the fallout extended beyond finances, because when money disappears, relationships crumble, accusations fly of betrayal, mismanagement, or favoritism in how claims were handled, with some insiders whispering that certain individuals maneuvered quietly to ensure their claims were recognized while others were conveniently dismissed, sparking allegations of corruption, nepotism, or judicial bias, though in reality, most of these outcomes were simply the inevitable consequences of strict legal hierarchies that place enforceable debts above emotional pleas, and thus, while one party might triumphantly cash a check after Judgment Day, others might face the humiliating truth that their years of dedication, loyalty, or belief in verbal agreements counted for nothing in the eyes of the court, because in the cold calculus of liquidation, paper trails trump promises, and receipts outweigh recollections, which is why this Judgment Day resonates not just as a financial transaction but as a moral parable. The ones who prepared, documented, and legally protected themselves emerged with compensation, while those who relied on trust, tradition, or informal arrangements were left empty-handed, reminding all who watch that the legal battlefield rewards foresight and punishes naivety. Yet it is difficult not to feel sympathy for those who left with nothing, because to lose not only property but also the sense of fairness or closure is a blow that lingers long after the money is gone, leaving fractured families, estranged friends, and broken dreams in its wake. And perhaps the saddest irony is that the property itself, once the source of hope and belonging, will live on under new ownership, stripped of its history, leaving behind only bitterness for those who fought so hard for it, while outsiders stroll its grounds unaware of the emotional bloodshed that purchased their rights. And in that sense, the $1.5 million Judgment Day is less a story about profit and more a cautionary tale about the high price of conflict, procrastination, and misplaced trust, because when the gavel falls and the court decides who gets paid and who gets nothing, it is not justice that prevails, but procedure, and in that mechanical process, souls are crushed, families are divided, and the wealth that once promised a brighter future vanishes into the pockets of institutions, leaving behind only lessons too bitter to console those who must now start over from nothing.